Almost every country in the world is in debt. The United States has today reached the highest level in its history. It owes over $38 trillion. The European Union carries approximately $14 trillion. Japan nearly $9 trillion. Even oil-rich Saudi Arabia, even export giants like Germany and China are under enormous debt. But here there is an unsettling question that seems simple. If everyone is in debt, then to whom and to what are we in debt? This channel exists to pursue exactly that question, at the intersection of money, power, and history. Because in this world nothing is as simple as it looks. Debt is not just a burden, it is the foundation of the modern world. Every war, every crisis, every rise and collapse stands on these invisible structures. And if you follow the trail of creditors long enough, you arrive at an unsettling truth. The world is not actually in debt to a specific person. It is in debt to itself. But that does not mean everyone benefits in the same way. Today our planet is carrying over $315 trillion in total debt. That is nearly 3 times the size of the global economy. To understand how we got here, we need to go back to the very beginning. Long before credit cards and digital transfers, the idea of national debt was born not on Wall Street, but on the battlefield. In 1694, England was at war with France and had run out of gold. The king turned to merchants for help. In exchange for continuous interest payments guaranteed by future tax revenues, he borrowed money. To manage this new arrangement, the Bank of England was created. And this was revolutionary. The state could now spend money it did not yet have. In return, investors received something priceless, the word of the state, a promise that could be bought, sold, and transferred. This is how the government bond was born. The first step of the modern financial system was taken. France copied it, the Netherlands refined it. The United States financed its war of independence and its westward expansion through this system. Debt was no longer a weakness but a sign of credibility. The ability to borrow meant the ability to rule. Empires once conquered land to extract gold. Now they issue bonds to extract interest. The battlefield was replaced by the balance sheet, and today, debt has become the world's largest export. Every country is in debt. Every bank is a creditor. Every citizen, through taxes and pension funds, is both a debtor and a creditor. So who holds the end of the rope? Let's start with the United States. Because its debt is not just national, it is global. Roughly half of the $38 trillion is owed to investors. A large portion of that is held by American banks, pension funds, and even the Federal Reserve itself. Part of the remainder sits in Japan, China, and Europe. So yes, the U.S. is in debt to China, but only a portion of the total. In reality, most of America's debt is owed to America. This cycle is not unique to the U.S. Japan lends to the U.S. The U.S. lends to Europe. Europe lends to developing nations. And they, in turn, lend back to developed economies. Everyone holds someone else's IOU. Like a poker table where every player has borrowed chips from the next. And the game continues as long as no one stands up. But this is not yet the most powerful layer. The markets, massive funds, central banks, institutions managing trillions of dollars. They decide which countries can borrow cheaply and which must pay a price to survive. And the high priests of this system, central banks. Central banks do not merely manage debt. They recreate it from the ground up. Every new unit of money is the reflection of new debt somewhere else. There is no such thing as debt-free money. This system has survived for years on one thing alone, trust. But when trust breaks, we've seen it before, in Greece, in Argentina, in Sri Lanka. When debt becomes unpayable, creditors suddenly become visible, and the cost is paid by the people. Still, the system does not stop. Debts are restructured. New debts replace the old ones. The machine renews itself. Because in the modern world debt exists not to be paid off, but to be rolled over. Governments do not plan to eliminate their debt. Ever. This is not a conspiracy. This is the system itself. Debt is like the heartbeat of the modern economy. If it stops, everything collapses. That is why the real goal is not to eliminate debt. It is to keep it going. Because when trust disappears, numbers lose all meaning. And perhaps the most important truth of all, debt flows not only between countries but between classes, upward. Those who hold the debt gain. Those who pay it carry the weight. That is why inequality rises alongside debt. And at the top there is no single villain, not China, not Wall Street, not the IMF. All of them, and us. Debt has become money. And if this balance breaks, only one truth remains. Debt is a promise that cannot be held forever. If this gave you a different perspective, subscribe. History has already written the answers. I'll show you where to look.